Especially with this composition, which is very heavy against mutas, you might think that it would be very risky to go for mutas, but to be able to take out those sentries is a huge part of the game, and you need to do that to be able to stop your units getting too clumped against Psy Storms, and it keeps them from being able to defend their stalkers from your Zerglings. Now we do have a Greater Spire coming up by the Zerg player. This will allow him to basically siege this base right here. And look at that, some money storms. All of a sudden, all of these Mutalisks are in the orange at least. That storm did a ton of damage. And with these Blink Stalkers, if you can get a good storm off and then blink right underneath, the game just completely ended basically for the Zerg player. He's going to have no army left, and he's going to be in a lot of trouble. Now look at this, DRG playing very defensively. He's going to go ahead and throw 3 Spine Crawlers here. Give him a little bit of defense against drops or warp-ins, anything like that. And bring in 8 Corruptors. I actually really like using Corruptors, especially in ZVP, because it seems like Archons are the end-all against Zerg. They do so much damage against biological units, and everything Zerg is biological. So, really the greatest way to counter them is, I mean, obviously you can go Mass Roach, but Broodlords, why let the Archon attack back? Basically, you can screw up their AI with those Lings. Oh my gosh. Wow, some money storms off of those High Templar. I wonder if I can find any of the ones that got the kills. It looks like they've basically all been turned into Archons, but that is what I'm talking about with those storms. That is so devastating to a Zerg player. And look at this Death Ball now. These Lings, as much as this is a lot of Stalkers, these Lings will not be able to do very much against this army. Mainly because of these Archons. And look at this. This is what DRG needs to do. He's going to go ahead and take out this base. I think it's going to be really close if those Archons can get in there soon, or some Storms can go down. These Zerglings will not be able to finish this off. Oh, it's going to be so close. And 124 HP remaining on this Nexus. Basically, DRG just needs to flick this thing and it will die. And look at this, these mutas coming in, see if they can finish it off. I don't think they'll be able to. No, they won't. DRG wants so badly to take that out. If he can definitely get a substantial lead. And look at all these Spine Crawlers. This is going to be a death trap for Parting. I don't think he wants to engage into this. And look at that, a beautiful fungal growth right here. I just had a game recently where I realized the true power of fungal growth on Blink Stalkers. It is amazing. Those Stalkers melt so quickly once that happens. And look at that, a risky and I don't think a worth it offensive Blink. Although those Broodlords will all go down. Maybe it was worth it, I don't know. Oh, this is such a close battle. I do think that DRG will be able to fight this off, and he's going to go ahead and take out these Archons in the meantime, which is huge for him. He's probably going to want to burrow. There we go. Going to go ahead and regenerate as much of that health as possible. And that battle did not go well for Parting. He is up in the upgrades, but he lost a lot of units to that. And this Nexus, I would imagine, is going to get taken out pretty quick. This Parting does need to move out. He needs to get this Archon in the front of his army so that he can do some real damage with it. It's just sort of hanging out back there. And DRG just gonna poke out, do as much damage as he can without actually committing these roaches to a full-on battle. You know, taking out a Stalker here and there might not seem like much, but when you're up 2 bases to 3, it does make a big difference. And he's gonna get this High Templar, it looks like. Oh, one-shotting it. It even had enough energy for a storm. That's so rough to deal with as a Protoss player. And look at this. All DRG needs to do right now is exactly what he is doing with these roaches. He's just poking out, doing a little bit of damage, reminding the Protoss player that he needs to stay at his base, and then moving back to the safety of these Spine Crawlers. And really, this is just going to force the Protoss to have to do some kind of big push and do some real damage. So really, DongRaeGu can choose where the engagements happen, unless Parting finds this base down here. This base is going to be doing a lot of giving DRG a huge economic boost. And here we go, we're going to see another engagement right here. Now, I do think Parting does have the superior army, but those fungal growths doing a ton of work for him. Look at those Stalkers just melting to that aggression. And even getting the forward blink, that actually was pretty good for Parting. Because those roaches were on the move command, he got a free attack on all of them and actually killed quite a few in the mix. But look at this supply difference, 129 to 174, and Broodlords are on the map. They do have +1 attack, and the roaches will be 3-2 here very shortly. I do think DRG needs to take advantage of Burrow, make sure that he keeps those roaches alive for as long as possible. And here we go. It looks like Parting will discover this base with this observer, and he needs to try and at least take out one of these bases, but this is so many spine crawlers to deal with, and the problem with this is as soon as he commits to attack these spine crawlers, roaches come in from behind, and then there's no amount of blink micro that will save his army. And look at this, these roaches have one job, and it is to finish this Nexus off, put one more nail in the coffin, and there we go, beautifully done. And even throwing out these zealots right here. But it does look like it's going to be an overall base trade between these two. Parting is going to go ahead and take out that base. However, this isn't as big a loss for DRG as it is for Parting. DRG obviously has these two bases still going, and still going very strong. So really it is 3 bases to, well, actually it's like, well, 3 mining bases to 2. And I would imagine that this base is going to get taken out right now. So this game looking very bad for Parting right now. I would say the biggest problem with this for him so far is he didn't really choose where he engaged all that well. And look at this, he needs to stop these probes from going over these here. These roaches will have no problem staying there if they can get this and a couple of those probes. Oh, and there we go. The roaches are cleaned up, but still the damage is done. Parting doesn't even have enough damage to get his army back to build another Nexus, but the mothership is out. So there is an opportunity for a lot of damage to be done here, except if there is Neural Parasite out. I don't think there is, though. No, he has not researched it yet. Really, this mothership just keeping Parting in the game for now. I don't think it's going to be able to win him this game. He is really, really far behind. It is 95 supply going up against 183. Now, Parting is very high on the upgrades, but I believe DRG is, yeah, he's basically equal on those. His roaches will very soon be 3-2. And at that point, I feel like there's nothing that Parting can do. He could try and get a money Archon toilet. He could, drop down a Vortex, throw in a couple Archons, then when everything spews out, you just allow your splash damage to destroy the Zerg army. And look at this, 4 more Broodlords on the way. DRG is maxed out and currently just working on getting a ton of supply in his army. And Parting going to go ahead, poke up here, see this base, and if he can take this out and then actually continue on to this one, that will be a huge help for him. But I don't feel like these Stalkers are well enough equipped to take out this base. There are too many Spine Crawlers here and a couple Roaches to help out. Really, Parting just needs to get some sort of miracle if he expects to win this. Look at this, trying to choose where he engages, but these supporting roaches will come in and really end any kind of blink micro. But great recall. Look at, these are 2 abilities that I feel like aren't used nearly enough by Protoss. We saw hallucination earlier in this game for scouting, and we see mass recall being done right now. Neither of these are used close to enough by Protoss. Both give you, well, okay, so mass recall allows you to harass without really taking any damage, and then hallucination allows you to get out a sizable, get sizable scouting. And also, if you have a lot of sentries, throw out a couple high-tech units that are going to scare your opponent off. Now, I don't know if going after these overlords is that good of an idea. Parting has to realize that he is basically fighting a maxed out army. Oh, and look at those storms just shredding those roaches, but I don't think it's going to be enough. These Broodlords in the back basically not touched by that attack. And I really think that this will be the final engagement. That is a lot of infested Terran. They are fully upgraded, which means they do 11 damage and attack as fast as a Marine. So these infested Terrans going to do a ton of damage to the Protoss player, even possibly focus down this mothership, but they will, okay, they all die, so they won't be able to focus down the mothership. But look at this, as soon as Parting kills off any bit of DRG's army, DRG maxes out almost immediately. And there's the Vortex. However, I don't think there are any Archons to, finish off this army. Now, the one thing that would definitely make this game go much more in DRG's favor is if his creep spread was a little bit better. I'm actually a little surprised at how weak it actually is. Usually the Zerg player should have creep spread all over his half of the map, especially at 34 minutes into the game. So, yeah, right now DRG looking like he's going to take this series. This would be the third win for him. Sorry if I gave away the ending to those of you who haven't seen the whole series, but I told you to go see the rest of the games in this series before you came back for this one. And DRG stockpiling up quite a few minerals. He can max out again if he pops out those roaches. And there we go, getting 8 more Broodlords to supplement his army. And this is another thing for you, Zerg. This isn't necessarily the best example of it, but it is an example of it, needless to say. Put your Broodlords in positions where the Protoss army can't blink directly underneath them and get that maximum DPS against them. You want to put them over spaces where ground units can't get underneath them. That makes them very, very dangerous. And look at this Stalker army going to try and push out, do some damage, but I feel like Parting is at the end of his rope. Neural Parasite is done, so we very easily could see this mothership taken by the Neural Parasite and really just taken out of the game, which would basically end the game for Parting. And look at this, DongRaeGu not taking any chances, throwing a Zergling at each of the possible expansions for Parting to make sure that Parting cannot expand behind this. So DRG realizes right now he doesn't necessarily need to worry about doing anything rash or stupid. He is wasting the energy on this mothership that this can't be used against him once the mothership is out of his control. However, he will try and focus it down with these infested Terrans, but not enough to really do that much damage. Oh, never mind. The infested Terran going to go ahead and finish off this army, this mothership, and these roaches going to go ahead, push out, see if they can't finish off these Blink Stalkers. And because these Blink Stalkers are up against the wall, Blink is not going to do very much for them. And look at this, Parting still not willing to tap out. He's going to long distance mine right here. But this army is going to demolish his base incredibly quickly, even throwing out these changelings to keep his overseers from getting feedbacked by High Templar. Sorry about that. And Parting just doing his best to keep these stalkers alive for as long as possible. And I gotta say, respect for trying for staying in this game and doing what he can. However, DongRaeGu is almost to 4,000 minerals and 1,500 gas. Basically, he can do whatever he wants right now, and he will win. I really don't think there's any way that he can lose. There's only one Nexus up for Parting, and it's being long distance mined from. So really, right now, Parting has to do some kind of all-in push, possibly even bring his probes with him if he'd like, and have the most incredible Blink Micro of all time. Look at this, DongRaeGu going to go ahead, push into this last Nexus, see if he can't take it out, and at the same time he is forcing these Stalkers to come back to his army. And Parting not even wasting the Micro to kill these Zealots. He's going to go ahead and push in here, blink onto these roaches, and try and take them out as quickly as possible. However, watch DongRaeGu's supply. As much as roaches are dying, his supply is not going down because he has so many minerals saved up that he can get roaches at will as often as he pleases. And with all of these hatcheries going, there's really no end to his larvae. If we look at the units, he has 14 larvae now, but I would imagine we'll see many more spawning in. And there's the GG by Parting. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this game. I know I did. A lot of great stuff to take away from it, and that is the end of this series. So stay tuned for the next games coming right up.